Hi girls, this is Willa. I am so excited to see you all again this week. Kayla and I really enjoyed seeing all of the coding projects you shared with us. They were wonderful. Did you have a chance to use your Morse code this past week? Was it a fun way to share secret messages with someone in your family? This week we are going to learn about our fingerprints. These are sometimes left as clues that detectives use to identify a person. Are you ready to get started on today's adventure? Alrighty then, let's go.
Hey Juniors, thanks for joining Willow and I for the second session in our Investigation Awaits series. And a huge thank you to Lily from Troop 41888 in Auburn, Washington for sharing your project with us. My name is Kayla Roloffs and I am the Youth Outreach Manager at Girl Scouts of Minnesota and Wisconsin Lakes and Pines. Before we begin today's activity, let's get started with the Girl Scout Promise and Law. If everyone could raise their right hand, we'll get started. On my honor, I will try to serve God and my country, to help people at all times, and to live by the Girl Scout law. I will do my best to be honest and fair, friendly and helpful, considerate and caring, courageous and strong, responsible for what I say and do, and to respect myself and others, respect authority, use resources wisely, make the world a better place, and be a sister to every Girl Scout. Last week, we created our own code. For this week's activity, we will be practicing a skill that many detectives use when working to solve a crime. The materials you'll need for this are paper, and then you're going to need blue or black ink. If you have an ink pad, that works really well, but if you don't, feel free to just use a washable marker. Today we'll be learning about fingerprints, which are the impressions left by the tiny little skin ridges on our fingers. These ridges have an important job. They help us feel things, and they're useful in gripping objects. When we touch something, we leave just a tiny bit of oil and sweat behind, kind of like a stamp, and that's how we can see our fingerprints. The scientific study of fingerprints is called dermatoglyphics, with derma meaning skin and glyphics meaning carvings. No two people have identical fingerprints, but fingerprint patterns tend to run in families. There are 3 different types of fingerprint patterns: whorls, loops, and arches.
Here we are at historic Scotland Yard, home of the London Police. Almost everyone has fingerprints. While your fingerprints are similar to those of other people's, no two people have the same fingerprints. Your fingerprints do not change. As you grow older, their appearance may change. Hair may turn grey or white or fall out, and the shape of the face might change. People grow mustaches or change hairstyles to alter their appearance. But one thing that does not change is our fingerprint pattern. Your fingerprints stay the same for your whole life.
Because no two people have identical fingerprints, they are essential to many crime scene investigators. For this activity, we're going to learn a little bit more about our fingerprints. So to begin, you're going to grab your piece of paper and your ink. We're going to start with our thumbs. So you're going to cover your thumb from your knuckle to the tip of your finger in your ink, and then you're going to carefully stamp it down on your piece of paper. It might take you a few tries, but that's okay. Once you get a good one where you can see the shape of your fingerprint, take a really close look. What shapes do you see? Can you tell what kind of pattern you have? Keep going and try to do it with all the rest of your fingers and see how they look similar.
Fingerprints develop before you are born, and are made of several layers of twisted skin. These ridges of skin make patterns. Let us take a closer look at the 3 common patterns of fingerprints. This first pattern is called the arch. As you can see, there is a distinct arches create a wave-like pattern across the fingertip. The next pattern is called a whorl. This is identifiable by the circle or spiral pattern created on the fingertip. The last pattern is called a loop. The loop pattern is when the ridges reach a point on the fingertip and then return to the same side. Let's take a look at the three patterns side by side. Can you see the difference between the patterns? By just looking, what type do you think you have? Everyone's fingerprints share a combination of these patterns. While very, very rare, some people are born without fingerprints.
Once you're done looking at your fingerprints, take the fingerprints of someone else in your house. How does your fingerprint compare to theirs? What makes them similar? What makes them different?
Remember, your fingerprints are not just for decoration. Because of the raised skin patterns on our fingertips and palms, we are able to hold on to things. The ridges of the skin help you get a grip on objects that you are trying to grasp. Without them, things would slide right out of your hands. As you take your family's fingerprints, you may start to see the different patterns. One thing you can do is have each person put their fingerprints on a sheet with their name. Then take another piece of paper and put random fingerprints on it from different family members. Try to look closely at the prints to determine whose fingerprints belong to whom.
During this upcoming week, if you're looking for another fingerprint activity, try practicing lifting fingerprints. So you're going to rub your fingertips together for about 10 seconds. It really helps kind of make a better fingerprint. Then you're going to use whatever glass you can find in your house, whether it's a drinking glass or maybe a window or a mirror. You're going to do the same kind of stamp on that. And then take a brush with some cocoa powder and very gently brush over your fingerprints. Grab a piece of clear tape and you're going to put your tape over it and then carefully pull it off and then place it to a piece of white paper. Once you're done with that, you can see the pattern that's left behind. Try it with another person in your house as well to see if you can search for their prints.
Another clue detectives us are footprints. Since most people do not walk around with bare feet, these are often marks left from shoes. This can be done by collecting a few different pairs of shoes. Flip them over and look at the bottom. What kind of pattern would they leave on the ground? If it is nice outside, you could dip just the bottom in clean water and then stamp it on the sidewalk to see the pattern.
As we wrap up for this week, Willow and I hope that you had fun learning about the science behind fingerprints. Feel free to share your detective work with us on our Facebook page. We'll see you again next week when we practice the power of observation.
Cheerio, girls. We'll see you again next week.